We are the Bearded Bros Golf Show, back again for another week. I am Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
So we're currently going live at the end of the St. Jude Classic in Memphis, Tennessee. It looks like, spoiler alert, that Lucas Glover is going to win based on Patrick Cantlay going into the water, taking 3 wood off the tee, not clearing the fairway, and Lucas Glover just put it center of the green with a putt to win it, and possibly 2 putts depending on what Cantlay does after this drop. Per Cantlay style, he's still trying to figure out what he's going to be doing. So kudos on Glover for just getting up there and hitting the ball and not getting iced by waiting around for Cantlay to do his thing. So,
Right.
and we have a video, and I think you got a couple of views earlier today as, Cantlay's been in contention talking about slow play, and Patrick Cantlay is the face of slending 2 weeks in a row, and I feel like he's been on the tip of our tongue for the last month or so with this putter situation. I'm super proud of him for not anchoring, and yeah, what do you think about Lucas Glover?
Oh yeah. Guys trending all the way. I guess I was talking about it at work. Man, is he gonna be good enough to make one of the captain's pick to get into the Ryder Cup? Do you think that's even possible? He gets 4. What's wrong with just taking a wild card as one of the 4?
I mean, I think he's playing some of the best golf in the world right now.
Yeah,
Is that wrong?
you ain't wrong. You're not lying. You're not far off. As far as what the other top guys are doing, so who's to say he doesn't make it? Zach
Yeah, it's
Johnson.
not going
He's
to.
an old guy, knows him probably personally from throughout the years.
Yeah, yeah. It's not going to be a sexy pick. People aren't going to
Right.
fawn over the pick, but you also can't argue against it.
Yep. It's a
So, kind
sound
of
pick.
prepar- preparation for that. I went and looked at some stats and wanted to pull up, just because, I titled this episode, Lucas Glover is your favorite ball striker's favorite ball striker, amongst many on the tour. And, just wanted to, again, validate some stats with how he is actually playing. So it's not just, us saying he's playing well. Let me pull this up without the aid of my glasses because I'm blind. So up here, I started with the approach stats, and you can just see, I think one of the ones that it's crazy, his proximity to the hole being, number one, 33 feet from the hole. And, with his putting coming along these days, even from approaches 200 plus out, 27th, greens and regulations 9th, and this is this full season, and approach to green strokes gained 16th. Let's look over here to his driving stats. Very respectable. He's not a long hitter.
Yeah.
Driving distance, you can see that being, personified. He's at 294, or just let's say round up 295. It's just 138th on tour, but that's not bad. He takes a lot
Right.
of 3 woods off the tee for safety.
I was about to
Driving
say he probably
accuracy.
takes a lot to get into yardages he likes anyways, which is probably, and that's the thing when you're a ball striker like that. 5 iron and 6 iron are like scoring clubs for you because you feel comfortable hitting irons like that. So there's nothing wrong with driving at 295. Shoot, there was a lot of years where Tiger wasn't the longest driver because he didn't even take driver that a lot. He took
Right.
3 wood, he hit the stinger. He knew what yardages he could play to. So I'm not mad
Right.
at that at all.
And if you can be 294 and 7th in accuracy,
Right.
that's pretty dang good. Total driving 31st, strokes gained off the tee 39th. Very respectable. I'm sure, again, he's probably been very high up on these stats for quite some time. But the stat that we've been talking about is his putting. And let's go to these stats. So, the last few weeks notwithstanding, these stats are pretty dreadful,
Yeah.
honestly. But watching with our eyes over the last, month or so, this has dramatically changed. And I would,
Absolutely.
love to see a segmented section. PJ Tour website doesn't allow you to kind of sort in that way. At least not what I've been able to find to just say, hey, what are your last four tournaments? But you can see 166, 77th in terms of putting average,
Yeah.
putts per round, 142, one putt percentage, 90th. So very poor as it relates to his putting stats. But shit. When you're 33, feet from the hole and putting the way he's been putting, man, that dude is crushing it. And we're kind of down to the end here. Patrick Cantlay has a putt to force another playoff hole. Glover has tapped in for his par.
Oh my
So let's
God. Can't leave.
shuffling. We're shuffling. We're still shuffling.
Uh,
And finally letting it go, giving it the distance. And it just veered off at the right. So Lucas Glover officially has won his second consecutive tournament. FedEx Cup standings. He's in the top four.
I was about to say he's top five.
Still behind John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, and Scotty Scheffler.
Yep.
So, this dude has been made a massive charge in the last month to just, I don't know, he's killing it, man. And it's hard to say that he's not going to keep playing this way. Looks super comfortable over the ball. Same setup. The setup is super repetitive and solid. It just takes a look over his left-hand shoulder, sets up, and, regrips one time, and then he goes at it. It's just such a comfortable look over the ball and has that familiar, just kind of, it's a solid sound off of his club. So, man, Lucas Glover, salute to that man for what he's been doing. Seems like a really good dude. Just kind of super solid, and you can just tell he's a family dude from the end of the tournament last week. I just read an article before we hopped on about him washing his clothes while he was on the road, just because he had just finished a book and was bored. So ran short on clothes, not taking his stuff to the cleaners. He's just like a regular dude. And making bank these last couple of weeks. So Lucas Glover making a charge up the FedEx Cup standings. I'm sure that will be, I'm sure he's been on the tour for 20 plus years, but some FedEx Cup money, top five, it's pretty spectacular. Won't hurt his bank account one bit at all. So, on the LPGA, they finished out their major season today with Lilia Vu taking home the AIG Women's Open, winning her second major of the year. The Chevron she took earlier this year, its inaugural year in Houston at Carlton Woods. Gets her second one today. Hadn't been playing well in the middle of the season, but has figured out her game, got hot at the right time and ended up winning pretty much in a landslide. I think about a total of, 5 or 6 strokes?
6, yeah.
She was 14 under. Next closest was Charlie Hull, which I'm sure there were a lot of people rooting for her in Charlie's home country. I'm sure you were rooting for her. I know you're a fan of Charlie Hull. So, tell me, are you familiar with Lilia Vu?
Not really. I think she had kind of had a little slump in the middle of the season because she was hurt. I think that's what I heard last time. But no, I haven't really heard much from her since the Chevron, since that first major she won. But she went out and did the same thing. Had a great weekend and just took it away from everybody without a question asked. And then finished it the same way too, like with just like a crazy one putt on the 18th. She didn't even need to lag it up there. She just went ahead and hold it. We were talking about, is Allie Ewing going to be the story? And she got lapped and not even on the front page of the leaderboard, it seems like. So, yeah, not really sad, but because I don't know if she had ever been in that situation. But I guess just good on for coming through. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, Allie Ewing, I had not heard her name before, maybe in passing, not
Yeah, she had won
memorable for
before.
sure. Yeah, so
Yeah,
she's got 3 titles on tour. Had won back in 2021, and pretty much every year, three consecutive years she had a win on tour. So not surprising, not being in that position previously, to see her have a 5 shot lead after the second round. She was talking very humbly and just said, I haven't really done much in terms of, I still have 36 more holes to play. Um,
yeah,
I don't know. To me, I'm gonna just say I don't like that mentality. I don't know where you stand on that, but to me, if I get it, speaking realistically, yes, you have half a tournament to go play, but I want to hear more confidence from somebody in a position to win a tournament.
yeah.
You can be humble and confident to me at the same time. So I didn't really like those comments in terms of, yeah, cool. It's fine to have some reality and um,
Yeah,
but talk about what you're going to do. Talk about what you've done well and what you're going to continue to do. You've played good golf to put yourself in that position to lead a major tournament by
sure.
5 and have a bunch of people bunched up. But she dropped 3 shots pretty early in round 3 on Saturday. So you could tell, the field came, she fell back to the field. What do you think about the confidence and speaking confidence into
I think
how you're going to play?
I mean, it's kind of honestly like what we talk about with the NBA and the NFL and stuff like that, as far as like once you get to that certain level, then it's all pretty much mental, anyways. I think she and for sure should have been more confident in herself because that's what it really is. It's the mental game at that point to where who's going to be able to withstand the charge and who's going to be able to, get through all the triumphs and tribulations and stuff like that. So I I get where she's coming from because it's kind of like what we just explained. Not really ever been in that situation, so she's gonna come at it pretty humbly. But yeah, I mean, 1000%, she should be at least speak on and harp on the things that she's done well, what's gotten her into this league, and try to hang on and do those same things going forward. As far as I guess hitting fairways, making putts, getting up and down, and things like that. But yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. I mean, it's just real, kind of sad to hear her not be as confident as she should be. But I mean, obviously understandable that she hasn't been in that situation before. So right to kind of lightly
Yeah.
step into that.
And hopefully she learns from this experience.
You
Just
got
double
to.
checking on her final finish. So she finished 4 under for the tournament, tied for 6 with like 3 other people. Um, very tight under the leader. We kind of go back to this thing with there being these really big leads in
Runaways.
tournaments. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't, I really am boggled by this. Um, I want to say over on the live side of things, um, Cam Smith ended up winning his event by 7 strokes today. I was
Yeah.
looking
He blew
for
them out too.
the results somewhere. It's not exactly easy to find live golf
Yeah.
scores
I was about to say maybe you got to
online.
look into the TV guide or something. I don't know.
Maybe One Tree Hill, they have it posted on their website.
Do
I
you
don't know,
think?
man.
I really don't.
I'm trying to find this. I really am scrambling to see if I can just find the leaderboard. Even though ESPN reports on the results from live, they don't offer the leaderboards on the website in terms of active scoring, so that always makes it a little interesting. One thing that I always hate about going to the live website as well, just nitpicking, is that they start with the team results, which nobody cares about. um,
Right.
I think it was, I forget who won their tournament last week. It doesn't really matter to me, but it was
DeChambeau.
interesting that even with that, DeChambeau, that's right, he shot his 58, and with that result, his team ended up not even winning the team result. So it's like
Yeah.
it's it's an interesting thing that they're still featuring that, and often the winner of the tournament's team does not win. So yeah, Cam
I was
Smith.
thinking about that because I mean, it's literally just like I mean, like DeChambeau shot a 58 on a par 70, and they weren't even talking about what his final score was because it's so gimmicky. Like, again, once
Mhm.
I just, I don't know, bro. Did you find it on CW website though? Is that where you found it?
It took me to their. I'm actually on their website, so I'm on
Okay.
livegolf.com.
Okay.
Cam Smith 12 under, and Rabon Lahiri second at 5 under, and it was so. This is very deceptive. So I don't know what ESPN's doing. So the alert that I received from ESPN said Cam Smith won, over set by 7 strokes over the field, denying Phil Mickelson his first live victory. And I was just like, what are we now that I'm looking at this leaderboard,
His
you want to
team
know where
victory?
Phil Mickelson came in? It really no, I don't even know. So Phil Mickelson's team is he's not the Crushers. He's the High Flyers. The High Flyers were fifth. And the Rippers, which is Cam Smith's team, came in first. So that didn't make sense, right? Or from a team perspective. Phil finished 1 under and 10th, tied for 10th, or they just go straight in order. So I'm sure there's some aspect where they don't do ties.
Yeah.
So very interesting stuff. Let me pull it up here while I'm talking about it. I'm sorry, folks. Make this visual. So let me share. So yeah, I don't get it. So Cam Smith, 12 under. Phil Mickelson, 10 under, or excuse me, 1 under, finishing 10th. But I think that's so. Again, if ESPN or other entities are going to start reporting on it, at least do it right. Because I'm sitting here thinking that Phil competed, but I guess Lahiri is not big enough of a name to command on the ESPN ticker. Same
Right.
thing, I guess, with Abraham Answer. So we shall see. I don't have this on our agenda to talk about just because I don't know. So they had another PGA, meeting players update. It wasn't really highly attended. I think they had a total of 25 players, but
Yeah.
we still don't have any new developments on how this is going to work out going into next year. We have the schedule that was released last week that we talked about as well. Talks about the designated events. I'm still interested on knowing where the money is going to come from. If the Saudi PIF fund is going to put up all of those funds for that, because at this
Yeah.
point the PGA has burned through their cash reserves trying to make this happen for this year. So again, we just keep going week to week. We have meetings about meetings with the PGA Tour and nothing coming from them. So I am so kind of frustrated with the slow flow of information. We're getting near the end of the FedEx Cup season, so we're going to be done with PGA Tour golf here in a couple of weeks. We're going to move on to the Ryder Cup, and we're going to have a couple months of just trying to figure out what next year looks like. I don't know if you're as frustrated as I am or don't care and just kind of are waiting and seeing. What are you feeling about all this kind of a bunch of nothing?
It's not that bad. I think I'm thinking about it as in we are getting ready to conclude the season. Then we'll do the Ryder Cup, and then hoopla in the months, and then honestly, as long as it's, really, I don't. Really, honestly, I don't care if the live even comes back or whatever. And then it came out anyways, like in connection with that, it came out that along with the allegations of Phil's betting career and addiction and whatever you want to call it, that they were like the live players didn't even want to come back to the PJ in the first place. Bro, we know that if you could play 12 events, make 20 million and play 54 holes, I wouldn't want to come back to real golf either. Like what? Duh, like
Right.
that goes without saying. So again, that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I think that's
Like,
kind of like you said. It goes without saying.
Like for real, bro. Like, okay. Anyways, so like, yeah. So if they're in the events or not, doesn't really matter because it seems to me that the PGA is just getting the PIF so that it can fund the tour and then get the live to do whatever it wants underneath a different umbrella. I don't know. Uh, yeah, I'm not really stressing it. I don't really care. I'm excited about the
Yeah.
Ryder Cup, bro.
I think during part of that we lost your connection, but it can't. I think you're back on strong, so you might have cut out a little bit. So I know the end result is you don't really care. I care because it's just, again, we touched on this last week. If their league goes away, if Live, I think it's pretty much set that it's going to go on next year. That's a set and done deal unless some surprise happens.
Yeah.
But what do they do at that point? Let's say your thing goes away and you've been saying all this stuff, um, and then now you have to come back and be awkward in the locker
I
room.
mean,
I don't
that's
think any.
fine.
I mean, it
They
is
can
fine.
ride off into that shit gonna ride off into the sunset. It's gonna, whether it does it on a beautiful sunset or if it kind of just crashes off the side of a cliff, it do not matter because just like this is an unsuccessful project, they gonna come begging back to the PJ anyways, so they can play golf and make money again. They not. I
Yeah,
mean, like,
no matter if it's not $4 million for a win. Okay,
right?
it'll be 2 million or
Yeah.
1.5. Oh my God, it's you're living like a peasant. I agree. I mean, they're going to
Yeah.
come back and they're going to want to play. So you kind of mentioned it, and that's a good segue into the Phil situation. I'll introduce it. If you haven't heard it, if you haven't heard about it, you're probably living under a rock. So, a book by Phil's kind of betting partner, somebody that he would, place bets and partner up with bets with this guy who was really successful. I don't know his name. I'm totally not important to me what his name is, but he was a high roller, had success in casinos. He wasn't always allowed to bet, so matching
Yeah.
up with Phil's betting obsession, they partnered up. Phil would throw money down, etc. He was able to get in and successfully bet. Kind of the highlights. The guy alleges that Phil has probably bet close to $1 billion during his betting career, lost about 110, which all in all seems like he's had a pretty successful betting career. But at some points he was averaging about 7 to 9 sports bets a day. And I think the bombshell part of the revelations were that the gentleman alleged that Phil tried to bet on the 2012 Ryder Cup that the U.S. would win. They ended up losing that Ryder Cup. But the guy was like, no, I don't want to engage in that. Phil came back and issued a statement on, this situation and said that he never bet on the Ryder Cup. In my brain, and maybe I'm cynical, I'm not one of these jock writers on Twitter that I went down the comment section under Phil's statement, and it was so ridiculous with the fandom and just people not being able to separate themselves from their love for a person, or just, I'm like, do you think Phil's gonna, come into this circle jerk of a comment section? And, I don't know. It was just weird the way that people cannot say a bad thing is a bad thing or a good thing is it's just interesting how that works these days,
Yeah.
that no one's willing to admit when something is just dead ass wrong. But going back to what I read into Phil's statement, if he had said, I have never tried or attempted to bet on the Ryder Cup, I would have taken him at his word. But the fact that it was carefully crafted to say that I have never bet on the Ryder Cup, not I have never attempted to, I have never bet on it, meaning, again, the guy said that he declined to go in on that, and he may not have been able to find another bookie, or after hearing someone say, hey, that's unsavory,
Yeah.
let's not do that. That he's
Yeah.
like, okay, you're probably right. Man, what do you think about this whole gambling thing? Let's just break it into a couple different pieces. What do you think about Phil? We've known about his gambling. What about him gambling on golf? What are your thoughts on that in any shape, form, or fashion?
Uh, Well, to be honest with you, I I don't know. I got out of gambling a long time ago, as far as even like poker and stuff like that. So like I, leave that to the people with money to be able to do that. I try to be as detached as possible, but in the end, insider trader is always going to do janky shit. And I believe this is another scenario and another case where he is doing some funny stuff, whether it be under his name or not. I mean, I I I would say I would
Hey,
believe you more
hey,
if you
Marcus,
were
if you
like,
can hear me, man, you are. Hey, Marcus,
I can
if
hear
you can
you.
hear me, your feed is breaking down. Your feed's breaking down, my guy.
Um, I mean, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I mean, I can. My internet seems fine on my end.
I'm gonna pull it. Do me a favor. Well, I'm sorry about this. We're live, so I'm gonna pull Marcus out of the stream real quick and then bring him back in, um, just so we can have a clean experience. Sorry about that. Again, we're doing this live. Thanks for hanging in there with us. I'm gonna have him jump out of the stream and come back in. Um, so I don't know if you are watching. Tell me what you think about athletes betting in the comment section. Betting on sports that they're playing on. Whether that we talk about scenarios like uh, Pete Rose. He's a perfect example. Chat real quick, Marcus, or talk.
Hello.
Perfect. And your sound is. I think you were definitely having some connection issues. So I was saying, the comparison to something like this would be like a Pete Rose situation. Um, I think the Ryder Cup is like this super, you know, egregious example. But week to week, let's say he was just betting on regular tournaments. How? I mean, that's even flagrant, don't you think? Or am I just, you know, reading into that?
I mean, I think it's all bad. Like I said, I don't think I leave that to people with money. So if you want to bet on your livelihood, you can do that if you would like, but I think it's weird, first off, and then secondly, I just think it's very janky of you to do. But I mean, if you're betting on people to see who's going to make the cut and stuff like that, I mean, to whatever. But again, I think it's very janky. I mean, it's the same thing as Tim Donaghy betting on basketball games that he wasn't directly officiating. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like, people are going to do grimy things all the time, and they're going to try to figure out a way to get away with it. And I think one thing about insider trader is you make 7, 8, 9 bets, one of those bets is going to hit always because you're an insider trader. So somebody's giving you information anyway. So I really think that his deficit should be less if that's, I mean, like in that case. If you've betted that much and you've still found a way, even with all your insides, to still lose 100 million, I think you have a problem. So that's my stance on that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like again, this is the tip of the iceberg, and we're gonna see more information trickle out. It's just hard to say that it ends here, right? These things don't
Yeah.
happen with just these two individuals. There's more people that are on the inside. So we'll see. We'll see if Phil is clean, if he's been betting, golf that will come out. But it's again, just I revert back to, let's get back to human beings being able to say a wrong thing is a wrong thing. I miss those days and not
Yeah.
people just kind of finding their one side of the arena to go stand and people being able to have a conversation without, it being some jackassery. So, um, either way, I feel like I'm also losing signal as well. My bars are down. One thing that we missed when we were talking about Lucas Glover that I don't want to completely ignore is my man sweating through his pants this week. So I was able to find a video on Twitter of not a video, but somebody screen grabbing um, Lucas Glover out there sweating through his pants. So
Mm.
I don't know who he needs to partner with, and this isn't super
Woo.
great. This is somebody taking a picture of their screen, but you can kind of see the upper part of
It's
his
bad.
legs. He's pretty moist, and I know you also are a bit of a sweater, my guy. What do you think? What
Yeah.
what's he doing wrong here? Is he wearing some tidy whities underneath his golf slacks? The golf slacks are a little bit thinnish. They're not exactly your typical golf slack. So what do you think's happening here, man?
I think he needs better quality pants or a different thickness. Cause yeah, that's bad. Especially when you're walking and it looks like that. Like I feel like
Yeah.
when I'm sitting down in a cart and constantly kind of getting up and down from the same heat and stuff like that, yeah, mine's gonna look even worse. But for you to be walking and it still be looking this egregious, I eh, yeah, Lucas, I need you to. Mm, I
I
don't know,
I
bro.
don't know who
This bad.
I don't know with him having the success that he's had. I hope that he's able to find a pan sponsor, somebody to step up to the plate. It's just I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out
This might be
because
superstition at this point. The way he's trending, this might be superstition. He might
well
just be
he's not
sweating through these on purpose.
he's not it's funny you mentioned that. So that article that I read about him, um, washing his own clothes on the road is that he finished off in a different color last week. We know Tiger has the signature black and red on Sundays, whether he's in contention or not.
Yeah.
Typically, players have a script on their clothes and kind of finish off a tournament. I think John Rum wears like a kind of a reddish pinkish shirt, kind of salmon, and gray pants on Sunday. But he said he was wearing something completely different. I don't think he's superstitious at all. But again, not a good look. We don't see this on tour week to week. I remember our uncle who is heavy into golf. He said he went to the Masters one year and ended up watching like a practice round. And Nick Price, who was a baller back in the 90s on tour, he said that Nick Price was wearing the most expensive pair of golf slacks that he had ever seen in his life. They were like at least $1,000 for just some golf slacks. And when you think about probably
Yeah.
what Lucas Glover's wearing, these are probably some Fabletics type material. It's so
All right.
interesting. And he
Men's
went with the light
Warehouse,
colors
like,
all
ugh.
week. So grays, I think he did have like on the charcoal one day. But again, somebody come sponsor and help this man out. He can be the face of your brand, sweat wicking or whatever the case may be.
Oh yeah. Get him out of
All
those
right,
Men's
guys.
Warehouse exclusives.
Yeah, I keep losing you. You keep blanking out. Anything? That's really it for our list of stuff to this week. We're going on to the second leg of the FedEx Cup next week. We are down to 50. Let me see if they've refreshed the list. And while we're still on, what do you think about the FedEx Cup? You know, kind of where we're at as of today. And are you excited about these next couple of weeks, or is just kind of after the majors kind of ho hum? What do you think?
No, I'm excited. Again, I think, like I was saying last week, I think it should have been a little bit more gradual. I think the 100 to 75 to 50 to 30 look would have been a lot better as far as like the flow of things. Because I feel like 100 to 50 to 30 is like it's a little bit dramatic, but I get it. You're in like in between seasons of like what you're trying to do as far as like the direction of the tour. So like this might just be like an experimental idea, and then we get back into that for next season or however it may be. But I, I mean, I'm excited about the playoff golf. Now I think that next week it'll be a different venue, and of course it'll hopefully the weather will be a little bit better for the guys because I think they were struggling a little bit with the rain and the heat and the humidity and stuff out in Tennessee and stuff like that. So hopefully next week will go a little bit swimmingly as far as the weather goes. But yeah, I'm excited still. I
Yeah.
definitely still think it's a good show. It's a good product. And I feel like the right people are still doing what they're supposed to be doing. I don't feel like there's been any bad luck as far as like who made it in, like the last people fighting in and stuff like that. So yeah,
Hmm.
I definitely like the way it's going.
Cool. Let me pull it up here again and kind of show where we are at with who got cut this week and who's gonna go on to keep moving in the. So that's the PGA. Sorry, just kind of scrolling through my tabs here. I think I got it. Let's share this. That is not it. Just had it. Come on. All right. So should be coming up here. Kind of go through this list as I'm scrolling through. So people in the top 50 or top 70 that got cut this week: Mackenzie Hughes, Nick Hardy, Taylor Montgomery, Alex Smalley. Tell me when you see a name that you care about right now. Thomas Dietrich, Stephen Yeager, Brandon Wu, Bo Hostler, Davis Riley, Hayden Buckley, Sam Ryder, JJ Spawn, Ben Griffin. I'm a fan of Ben Griffin. I'll come back to him in a second. Keith Mitchell, probably the biggest name on here that got, that eliminated this week. Sam Stevens, Matt Kuchar. Matt Kuchar always kind of just hanging around on the edges. Mark Hubbard, Aaron Rye, Vincent Norman, who had a strong end to his season, and Matt Naismith.
Yeah. I mean, JJ Spine, I find myself cheering for. Brandon Wu's a recognizable name. Mackenzie Hughes, they showed him a lot, or they were trying to hype him up because he was right on the bubble and stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
not a real like Davis Riley, like his swing a lot. Like, but otherwise, you're right. Not a lot of like
Right.
notables. I think Matt Kuchar might have actually. This might be the first year in a long time that he didn't make the top 50 or top 30. So that might, and that in itself is
Hmm.
kind of interesting. But like I'll look it up and probably talk to you about that this week. But I'm pretty sure he's made the
Okay.
top 30 a lot of years in a row. So this is out of the norm for him. But I feel like his luck is finally catching up on him after that Mayakoba win. I
I,
just think the karma's gonna come get you
yeah, I feel
one
like
way
Matt
or another.
Kuchar. I feel like Matt. I, I feel like Matt Kuchar has been on the PGA Tour forever. Maybe when I started playing is when his rise, and it feels like, my attention on the program has kind of mirrored his rise in the game. But it feels like he could
Yeah,
be almost 100 years old because it feels like he's been playing forever and looked old as long as I've been aware of Matt Kuchar. Like you said about
for
the
real.
Mayakoba and not paying his caddy. Yeah, bad juju is bad juju. You treat people right, things come back around and help you out. So shout out to Matt
Definitely.
Kuchar. So I mentioned Ben Griffin. I've been a fan of Ben Griffin since last year. I want to say 2022. Saw him
Hmm.
at Texas Rangers Golf Club and playing on a Corn Ferry event. Um, I just happened to see him tee off. I had not been aware of Ben Griffin at the time. Teed off, lost his ball on the first hole. They ended up finding it later. He goes on to get up and down for a bogey after having a re-tee. He goes on. I think he has a bogey and then like a double or a triple. And so just watching this guy that I had never seen play kind of struggle on first few holes, and then kind of started tracking him on the Golf Channel app, and the man went on to shoot like something like 6 or 7 under after that horrific start to the day. Just went on a birdie barrage, just looked like he was at his wits' end. I started following him on, Instagram, looking up his story. He had quit golf for a while, went into real estate and like mortgage lending or something, and then kind of gave it one more shot. And he has had an incredible year. So for a guy for his first full time year on the PGA Tour, was kind of working his way through the Corn Ferry last year. I mean, I salute that guy just because it just
Yeah.
shows how tough of a grind it is to get to where these guys are. We talk about this week in and week out that the gap between you playing your Muni and these guys is bigger than you think. So if your ego thinks that you could even sniff even the bottom rung of even the Corn Ferry Tour, or maybe even some of these mini tours out there, guys that are just really really good, like a Eric Cole
Right.
comes to mind,
Yeah.
someone who's grinding it out and now is a known name on the PGA Tour. So, when I see Ben Griffin, just because I've become a fan and, just really cheering that guy on, he pretty much plays every week at this point. So, salute to Ben Griffin, love seeing you, succeed and, making his exit now in the FedEx Cup. But just a name that when I see it, I kind of perk up and pay attention. So, anyway, um, as I ask usually, anything that you want to cover before we hop off for the week, my guy?
No, I thought I had something. I'll come back with it next week because I forgot already. So we'll keep it rocking.
No worries. No worries. We're super random, winding down the end of the MLB season. Go Rangers as the summer winds down. Our hometown Texas Rangers leading the, what is it, American League West. We can do this, y'all. So shout out to
Let's
the
keep it
Texas
going.
Rangers. We'll be back next week discussing the next leg of the FedEx Cup and whatever news comes up during the week. Beardy Bros Golf
Yes,
Show.
sir.
I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Signing out. Catch y'all next week.